And a blessed Wednesday to you. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Along with Debbie Georgiani, I am Jerry Usher. The show team, Michael, Jeff, and Ryan are in place. Ryan is on the phones. And we're going to be presenting a topic for you today that I really believe you're going to have something to weigh in on about because, Debbie, I think a lot of people are seeing some trends in our country and the way things are going with the faith and religion and religious liberty and these sorts of things. So it should be another lively conversation today.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. So I'm actually going to read some of the questions, Jerry, that you put on take2show.com when you did the synopsis of the show. The question is, do you see the U.S. as mission territory? And we'll dive into that a little more, but I want you to jot this number down so you can start calling, because I agree with Jerry. When you hear some of these questions that are just, conversation starters, it really does prompt a lot of thought, and you'll probably have a lot of wisdom to share on this topic. The number to dial is 833-288-3986. And we already have one person on the line, so there's room for you, 833-288-3986. And Jerry, you wrote here, are you hopeful that God is still woven into the fabric of our nation? Now, you're referring to how constantly in the past, when we were growing up, our nation was always considered a Judeo-Christian nation, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And so you're wondering if if God is still woven into the fabric of our nation. Has your belief in the notion waned over the years? How do you evangelize in your family, your neighborhood, your workplace? Do you see a trend in any particular direction, whether positive or not so positive? What is the typical response when you share your faith with others? Do most people even want to hear what you have to say about God and the faith? Jerry, these are interesting questions. I hope our listeners take you up on it and answer some of them, because this is disturbing. Because even in your beginning paragraph, you said, we used to say that we are, Christian nation. Has that all changed now?
Yeah. Phone lines are open for you right now to weigh in on this discussion. It is your program. Without you, there's still a show, but it's not nearly the show that it would be without you. So join us with your takes on this question. Do you see our nation, the United States, as mission territory? Remember, there was a time, of course, when missionaries came, and they were maybe the predominantly the number of clergy and religious and people spreading the faith. The U.S. has in turn been sending priests around the world as missionaries at times in our history. And now we're seeing a lot of missionary priests coming here again. So as lay people, we are called to be missionaries too, in a certain sense, maybe not to go to a foreign land or maybe not to go out and preach on the street corners or what have you. But in our little sphere of influence, we are called to do whatever we can to spread the Christian faith, the Catholic Christian faith, in our neighborhoods, in our country, and around the world. So 833-288-EWTN gets you on the program and talking, first of all, with Ryan Penny, 833-288-3986.
Well, you mentioned, we're called to do this. Absolutely. By our baptismal call, to go out there and to evangelize. And I think that's what we do, or we at least try to do each and every day on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. It's an evangelization ministry. That's what it's all about. That's why we have these conversations, so that we can learn and grow and be enlightened about what we know is true about God. Very important work, and we really want you to weigh in on this. How do you feel about this? Do you think things are changing for the better, or are we going in the wrong direction? A lot of people have a lot of things to say. So many folks have a lot to say about this, but I wonder after we talk about it, Jerry, where do we go from here? And maybe that's the key, is the challenges we all face and what we're willing to do and what we're willing to stand up for. So let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. That's the number to call.
Yeah, again, just some of the food for thought that we were putting out there, as Debbie mentioned a few minutes ago. Do you still see the U.S., the United States, as a Christian nation, as one nation under God? We that's such a big part of our foundation. We got President Trump trying his best to protect our religious liberties. Even going so far as at his Easter message to talk about Jesus as our personal Lord and Savior. Those kinds of things coming out of the mouth of our president, and yet we look around the country and we see a lot of influences that would say we really aren't a Christian nation in many ways. You know, abortion is still such a big thing. We got the changing of the nature of marriage going on, and so many other ills in our society. And we want to just hear from you as you go about your daily life in your own personal lived experience, as you try to live out the faith and maybe even share it with others at times. How does that go for you? 833-288-3986.
And this is a deep question. We actually asked a lot of questions, but a deep topic, and we understand that. So take some time, maybe just 2 to 3 minutes, and then we want to hear from you. Because remember, we say this each and every time we do the show. You are the teachers here. It's with your experiences, your takes. You give us, we take a pulse of what's going on in the world through you, okay? And what you're living around and with. It's important. And we have to have these conversations. If we get cut off from one another, we're going to be functioning in a vacuum, if you will, and not in a good place, okay? We need to stay connected. We are meant for community, and let's do that right now. So if you dial in, Ryan will happily talk to you for a few minutes, put you on hold, and you'll get to jump right into the discussion, just like you were in our virtual living room. Now, Jerry has his own living room in California. I have mine in Arizona, but it's a virtual living room. 833-288-3986, kind of like Mr. Rogers is, Mr. Rogers, the virtual house.
Well, I was just
well, it was a real house, but you know what I mean.
But as you said that, I was going to say your living room is probably a lot neater than my living room.
It is.
But I don't go into my living room that much. What's that?
It is. I said it is.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
No,
all right, phone lines are filling up, folks. We got about 2 lines still open if you want to join this conversation. Is the United States a mission? I mean, maybe in a sense, every country in every age is a mission territory. Maybe that's the way you feel about it. But in our own particular country, in our day, in our time, what are we seeing by way of reaction to the faith, a rejection of it? Are more people coming to the faith in your own experience? And again, really, we want your personal take on how, when you try to evangelize within your family, within your workplace, at the gym, which we're not going to right now. 833-288-3986. Back to take your calls in just a minute, starting with Donna.
A lot of people listen to Catholic radio and get great information to help build their faith and support their faith. But there are also people out there who haven't yet built a relationship with God, and Catholic radio reaches them wherever they are. It evangelizes in a way like no other medium, and that's just one of the many reasons why Catholic radio is so important.
Jimmy Akin thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
This Easter season, read for faith, read for truth, read for life by giving yourself the gift of EWTN's National Catholic Register. Easter inaugurates a joyous season of hope and renewal that brings us closer to God. Gain a deeper understanding of His love and providence in reading the Register. Make this Easter season even more meaningful. Try the Register for free today and get it delivered to your home, office, or parish. To get your 6 free issues, order online at ncregister.com/radio or call 800-421-3230 and mention code RADIO. That's ncregister.com/radio or call 800-421-3230 and mention code RADIO. The National Catholic Register. Read faithfully.
This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani with Jerry Usher and you. You are the key person. So if you have something to say about this topic that we introduced, please do so. Don't wait till the very last minute because we're not going to do a part 2 on this today. Okay, we're just not. All right. Maybe we would. Who knows if you fill the phone lines. But you know what I'm saying. Don't wait till the last minute. Call in. We want to hear from you. 833-288-3986. Just to highlight something real quickly. And by the way, Jerry, you didn't even pick up on my little joke when I said Mr. Rogers' house was real, right? You didn't even pick up on that.
No,
when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Mr. Rogers? I mean, did you watch Mr.
I
Rogers?
think so, yeah. I think on occasion, yeah.
On occasion. Yeah, you were probably out playing sports.
Probably.
I was watching TV. Okay, I just want to highlight this real quickly, if I may. EWTN live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Father Mitch Pacwa interviews former Surgeon General Nadja West and speaks about her amazing journey of faith and her military career. Very fascinating. And Father Mitch does such a great job with his guests. And so check it out tonight, folks. Tonight, 8 p.m.
Okay. Other great programs all day long here on EWTN Radio and most of these stations. 833-288-3986 is our phone number today, talking about how the kind of taking the temperature of what you think, how you think the faith is being received, lived out, is being rejected in our country. Are we still a Christian nation? Are we a mission territory? Should we be seeing and hoping and praying for more and more missionaries to come? We obviously need to be praying for more priestly and religious vocations. That's a given in any particular time period. So we are going to start with Donna as promised. Donna is listening on the iHeartRadio app in Nashville. Donna, welcome to Take Two. How are you?
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. I got so excited about your topic when I saw it in your email that I called in 15 minutes early to make sure I could talk to you.
Yay,
Oh, good for you.
Donna.
I mean, yeah, I know. And it's not just because I'm desperate that I have been at home. I have not left my house for over 5 weeks, and all day long, all I see is a wiener dog and 2 cats until my husband gets home. So,
Bless your heart,
but
Donna. Bless you.
I'm not hallucinating when I say I'm going to address one narrow topic that I think is pertinent to all the good questions that you proposed. I see, believe it or not, a turn in Hollywood. Specifically, I have seen in the past 2 weeks, I have seen 2 shows. One is one of the top 10 recommended Netflix series. It's a limited series. I think it's 8 episodes. And the other was something on, I almost hate to say this, and Ryan was laughing, a Lifetime Network with one of those cheerleader murders type titles. But it was also a profound departure for Hollywood. The first one, Unbelievable, has 2 big stars, Toni Collette and Merritt Weaver. They are 2 police women solving very brutal serial rapes that go on for many years. So what I want to say that is pertinent to the topic is, in some of the earliest scenes, we see that the younger cop, Merritt Weaver, Toni Collette becomes her partner and gets in the car and sees a sticky note on her dashboard, and it says, "Send me." And she says, "What's that?" And she's a very agnostic character. She's hostile the whole way to religion, to the faith, Christianity, which comes up through the show. "Send me. What is that?" And Merritt Weaver says, "It's Isaiah. Whom shall I send? Send me." And boy, my ears just perked up. I thought, this is going to kind of run through this show. And indeed, she is the main one that solves these heinous crimes. But we see her praying with her family, which she's not a single mom for once, nuclear family with a dad and children. We see people going to church, and we see Toni Collette kind of making fun of some of the things Merritt Weaver says about Christianity. She even at one point says, "Okay, what does your Lord say about this?" And of course, we've heard that. And those words are said, and people are led by asking that question. And I was just so impressed by a very fine movie that's hard to get through the first episode because this is a brutal, horrible topic. But throughout, there is this Christian theme running through Merritt Weaver, a main character, and the ending is very hopeful. And I just couldn't believe it.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, Donna, I don't watch a lot of TV. I'll watch EWTN News Nightly and maybe some, when sports are on, I will watch some sports. But this is fascinating to hear what you're talking about. And I think, even though I'm not familiar with those shows, I think we can look at Hollywood as a whole, Donna and Debbie, and see that there have been times when they have really embraced Christian-themed shows, Christian-themed movies, and so forth. Generally speaking, a lot of people would just look at Hollywood and say, just off the cuff, without even thinking about it, that they are, anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-religion, and so forth. But I think we've seen, especially when they put out, somebody puts out, like a Mel Gibson puts out The Passion of the Christ, which, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it's been overtaken by now, but I know at one time it was, I think, the highest grossing movie in box office history. So they see family-friendly things, they see Christian things, and Debbie, I think they want to do more of that, but they maybe feel like it would make them feel like a fish out of water in Hollywood sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Donna, it was so encouraging to hear your take of this and your experience of watching this. And at the beginning of the show, because you were listening, because you were on early, which we're going to have to come up with a new virtual award just for you, Donna, that you call in ahead of the show. I just love that. We'll be thinking of that. We'll announce that later. But it's yours, Donna.
Okay.
It's yours. Okay.
All right. I claim it.
Okay. Yeah, you claim it. You own it. That's right. I wanted to say something though that's interesting, because Jerry and I are very big on faith-based life skills, and I just wanted to say something at the beginning. I said, we're called to do something, about things that we see, whether if they're good things that we see, positive things, or not so good. And I would just encourage you, Donna, and others that watched similar movies as yourself. I would encourage you to call the networks and say, we want more of this. I like this. Reference what you have seen.
It's hard to know. It's hard to figure out how you can really get to a network person these days with the internet and the fact that you can't call anybody on the phone anymore. I really wish somebody at EWTN would figure this out and maybe post it on a website of when you want to pass along. Of course, there's so many media platforms now. There's all these different cable things, but I wouldn't even know how to make sure this would get to the right Netflix person. Can I talk about the second show I saw on Lifetime?
Sure.
Believe it or not?
Sure, Donna.
Well, I was telling Ryan, and he tried to look it up, and he had to go through all these horrible titles like nanny seduction and cheerleader murders and all this. I couldn't believe I was even watching this, but I was desperate the other day flipping around, and I came across this movie on the Lifetime movie network where a young girl was being bullied, and she killed her bullier. She killed her bully. But another girl was blamed and framed, and she looked, well, remember Madonna in the 80s with all the goth and chains and crosses and low-cut stuff? This is how she dressed. But she and her mother were faithful Catholics, and she was going somewhere weekly, a youth group. She questioned whether she should continue to go, being under suspicion like this. And her mother said, no, this is when you need to go. They were presenting people going to church, and this girl was actually the heroine. She was unjustly accused, and she just kept hanging in there, and she kept going to church every week. And I just sat there thinking, I must be dreaming this. So that's two things in 2 weeks that I thought, main cable network Lifetime has just the most revolting topics. I was just so amazed to see not only someone going to church and it helped them get through their struggle, but it was Catholic.
Yeah.
When do you ever see that on Lifetime? You don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I was amazed.
Donna, I think you're right. Oftentimes when Christianity is presented in a favorable light, it often is not Catholicism, but just sort of this generic brand of Christianity. But that's really great that you saw these things. And, they're really portraying real life, unfortunately. These things happen in real life. And who is there for the people who are involved in these things? The church. And so, Debbie, I'm edified to hear this. Again, I'm not familiar with the particular shows and movies, but it's just nice to hear that the Catholic faith, especially as it relates to young people, is being portrayed in some kind of a positive light on these episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Donna, thank you so much. We're so glad that you called in early and you got on and you were able to share your experience of this. And Donna, just wanted to let you know, we got a couple messages that came in and they said they're researching, Donna, of a general number or a network number that we could call or write into. So see, Donna, you issued the challenge to the Take Two family. They're taking it on. What do you think?
I knew somebody would take it on. I do highly recommend that series. Unbelievable. It's a very tough topic. This, of course, is not for children to watch, because it's graphic sexual violence. But overall, the central character that has the Post-it note that said "Send me" is a role model, is a good role model, and I think that maybe 15 and up can watch this movie and be inspired and not get a negative view of Christianity. I would like to know if other people feel the same way I do. I'd like to know what y'all would think. I hope you'll watch it.
Well, we certainly invite anyone who would like to. If you've seen these shows or the movie that Donna's talking about, feel free to call in and share your thoughts about it as well. But I would agree with you. I'm sure Debbie would as well. Age appropriate stuff is always to be taken into consideration. So, Donna, thank you again. As Debbie said, we appreciate you, especially calling in way early up before the show even started. You know what I'm thinking, Donna? One quick other question: doesn't your name mean gift? Does Donna mean gift?
I don't know. I thought it was lady.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking of the Latin. I think is donum, and yeah, I think it means gift. We could call it the gift award if somebody calls in 15 minutes before the show. Debbie, what do you think?
Oh, I love it. I think you know what's really neat, Donna. You'll get a kick out of this. Jerry and I started this 5 years ago. Virtual everything. We had virtual living rooms, virtual awards, virtual bells, virtual everything, and then virtual became very popular now because of the coronavirus. What do you think, Donna? We were way ahead of it.
Yeah, y'all are cutting edge. I hope I'm not wrong. That's why I would like for some other people to watch this and see if because what if someone watches this and says, "Oh no, I didn't think this was positive at all." Well, I do, and I don't know. It's food for thought, but I see a little glimmer of hope out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about people go out and look at all the glittery things that make their ears itch, and maybe they come back to something that's tried and true. We hope so.
Mm-hmm. Well, Donna, let me just share something real quickly because Jerry, is it Stephen Gradanas that has that has the movie reviews, the Christian movie reviews. Go ahead.
Decentfilms.com. Decentfilms.com. Yeah,
decentfilms.com, Donna. But I just want to say something really quickly, Donna. When we watch programs on TV or movies, now I never heard of this movie. Have you ever heard of it, Jerry? No, Jerry hasn't either. Okay, we may look into the subject matter of the movie, or even how it's presented, and we can pick out the kernels of things that are maybe evidence of God, or, evidence of the faith, or even inspirational moments and stuff. Everybody has a different view of it, because I will tell you, Donna, that there's been a few times that I've even innocently shared a film on this show. And I was flooded with emails saying, "But Debbie, did you catch that one part in the movie where this was totally anti-Christian?" And see, that happens in the screenplay and in the storyline. They will sometimes do, maybe even 90% of it will be okay, and that 10% is really problematic and leaves deep images in the mind. What do you say to that, Jerry? You know what I'm referring to when I innocently remarked that my husband and I went to the movies, and then I got a bunch of emails.
I think you're right on about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why, Donna, maybe people won't necessarily agree, because they're looking at it from a different angle, and I understand that as well. So, Donna, but keep listening. Let's hear what others have to say, and thank you so much for the call and for your experience and your take today. We really appreciate it.
And Donna, you were right, by the way. Your name does mean lady, woman, or lady, especially in Italian. But I was thinking of the Latin, which is donum, which means gift.
Nice.
So I kind of took a stab at that one, and Donna was right, and I was not. So way to go, Donna. Appreciate that. Thanks for the call.
I always thought Donna was part of like Madonna.
Madonna, yeah, exactly.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say anything because you're always right, Jerry.
Not on that one. I wasn't. We got a YouTube comment. We are streaming the video on YouTube and Facebook, and Jennifer said this has to do with yesterday's show. She says, "I would like to thank you so much for yesterday's show. I came upon it by accident, quote unquote." And she says, "Debbie, I have estranged children too." So that issue that you mentioned is affecting a lot of people. Yeah.
Wow, that's going to make me cry. Thank you for sharing that. We're not alone. We're together in this. So, and that's what Take Two is all about. We're journeying together. So join in on this conversation. Great conversation that was started off by Donna. We want to hear from you at 833-288-3986.
Father Mitch Pacwa.
Sin does not unite people, doesn't bring them together. Sin causes division and divides people up.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Hi, Take Two family. Jerry and I are so excited about the launch of Stand Tall, our new ministry designed just for you. Please visit standtalltoday.com and take a look at all the resources, devotionals, and services we have provided to assist you on your spiritual journey. Feeling stuck? Or maybe you feel like you're moving backwards? Let us help you take another look at life and make great strides toward being the person both you and God want you to be. Learn more at standtalltoday.com.
The Reason for Our Hope with Father Larry Richards.
I've been ordained 18 years by God's grace, and I've dealt with a lot of people as they're dying. And some people are very afraid. Fear of death is the number one fear. That what fear of death does is makes us slaves. You know, when you sin, you're fighting against death. You don't want to die to yourself. You know, so if it's a sexual temptation, you give into it. Why? Because I don't want to die to myself. If it's a temptation to greed, you give into it. Why? Because I don't want to die to myself. If it's a temptation to gluttony, you give into it. Why? Because I don't want to die to myself. So what happens is this fear of death makes us slaves. And we keep stuck in the slavery. Again, Jesus says, anyone who sins is a slave to sin. And so you can either decide to spend your life in slavery or spend your life in freedom.
Tomorrow on More to Life, that bitter root.
Feeling frustrated in your relationships? We're going to help you overcome resentment.
Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie coming your way on EWTN Radio. And thank you, affiliates, for airing the program. We appreciate that. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, show team, and listeners, you drive this program at 833-288-3986. Today we're talking about the United States, and maybe if you're from another country, you can answer the same question about your land as well. Is the United States still one nation under God? Is it a Christian nation? Do you see it as becoming more and more, once again, mission territory where we need to go out and evangelize or re-evangelize? 833-288-3986. Debbie, you had something you wanted to...
Yeah, I was going to say, well, this is off the subject, but being at home from the stay-at-home orders, I definitely need a haircut. My hair's growing. Is everybody else feeling the same way? I know. And anybody else having that feeling like, wow, we need to get back to the hair salons? Not you, Jerry. I'm sorry. You take care of yourself, right?
I just buzz it every now and then.
Okay, so you don't ever go to a barber shop?
No.
No. Oh, lucky you. You save a lot of money. Okay. I just wanted to say something real quickly back to just circling back to Donna's call. And she just a delightful woman that called in from Nashville, Tennessee. I just wanted to say this, and please, and this is just my religious education hat going on. So I just wanted to make you aware of this. You know, I used to do this exercise with the high school teens, where we would pick apart all different TV shows, even newscasts, and movies, and we would try to find the problematic things in the broadcasts. And it's very interesting. The high school kids could do it so easily. They would be like, "Oh yeah, they just took the Lord's name in vain. Oh yeah, they just did this." And it's very and I find it's happening, Jerry, even in sometimes even in the speaking circuit of people that go out there professing that they are Christian, and 90% of what they're saying is very Christian-like, but then that 10% is very problematic. And unfortunately, sometimes it even happens in clergy. I've heard it in certain clergy around the world that'll 90% sounds great, and that 10% is a real problem. So I would just caution people to really look at things, really critically and with that Catholic Christian lens, to be able to figure out what's best for you in your household. Because once it gets into your mind, it's very hard for it to exit. Would you agree with that, Jerry?
I would, yeah. I think that's very well put, and I think it's important that you pointed that out because, like you said, everything. We got to filter everything through our Catholic faith. It has to be run through that, kind of sifted through that. And if it passes muster, fine. And if not, it's something we need to probably, not probably, but, stay away from, keep out of our minds, like you said.
You said it so much better when you said filter. I like that. You got to filter everything. Very true, Jerry. See, I say it, but then you polish it up and make it sound great. Okay. Melissa in Youngstown, Ohio, listening on Living Bread Radio, is a first-time caller. Melissa, you get our virtual bell. Welcome to your show. Take two.
Yay. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Debbie. How are you today?
Hi, Melissa. Pretty well.
Doing
How
well,
are you doing?
Melissa.
Great. Hey, well, the reason that I called today on your subject is when you brought up President Trump. And I'm a huge fan of his. I know he has a lot of shortcomings, but I feel like he really is trying to push us in the right direction with the whole abortion issue. And I feel like that is so important. And a lot of times, that's really not talked about very much. I think we tend to just take it for granted now that, yes, it's legal, and what are we going to do about it? And I feel like he really is trying to do something about it.
Yeah, I could definitely comment on that. And I think you summed it up well. I mean, everybody has their shortcomings, but I agree with you. When you look at the 3.5 or almost 4-year presidency of Donald Trump, I have just been very, very blessed in many ways. I mentioned his Easter address, and then he had a bishop it was a non-Catholic church bishop, but he had him say a prayer right there, and the president referenced our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I know he tweeted out this last Sunday he was watching Mass from St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. So, and his wife, I understand, is Catholic, right, Melania. So, but yeah, his appointments have been pro-life. He was the first sitting president to speak at the March for Life. He's very big on religious liberty. So, we have to hope and pray that this trend continues. Debbie, Melissa's pointing something out very important here, that if we're getting this kind of influence at the top, I think it's safeguarding a lot of these things in our country, even though there are others out there who are trying to attack these things.
Yeah, and I think we need to promote those Christian principles and affirm those when we hear them coming from our government. I think it's because, like, similar to what I said to Donna, if we affirm that we approve of these things that they're doing in this direction, hopefully we'll get more of that. The problem is so many times let's face it, okay, I'm just going to say it. This is the New Jersey coming out in me, and Mike Peters, who works for EWTN, he'll be so proud because he always says, Debbie, you can turn your New Jersey on a little bit. Here you go. I'm just going to say it. Let's face it. We as Christians, we sit quiet way too much, and then it gets thrust upon us, and then we start reacting, and we start panicking and wondering how we're going to all band together and protest something. We need to constantly be doing this on a regular basis and saying, yes, you're going in the right direction, President. No, you're going in the wrong direction, sir. Your congressman or whatever. We need to keep voicing it on a continual basis. Jerry and I have a dear, dear friend who's very active in the government here in my state, in Arizona, and she does it consistently. Christine, if you're listening, I'm talking about you. She does it consistently. You always hear her stance on things that are all Catholic, and it's very important that we continue to do that. Melissa, what do you think? I'm sorry, now my blood pressure went sky high because I agree with you. We need to affirm this.
No, I totally get it, Debbie. I totally get it because I get a little like hot under the collar about it too. We have two teenagers, 13-year-old and a 14-year-old. And I mean, we're always talking to them about this because, unfortunately, a lot of what we get in the media, which speaks to what Donna was talking about with movies and whatnot, is a very secular viewpoint. And we just are always talking to our kids about the fact that, there's still, abortion is death. I mean, abortion is not right. And no matter how much you hear about the fact that these are the reasons that it needs to be legal, it's not right. It's a sin. And even just starting in our own family, starting small and like you said, hopefully then our kids are going to talk to their friends about it and not be part of that group like, oh, sure, pro-choice, that's the way to go. My rights, they're more important than the life of a baby. These are just very basic things. And I feel like in our family with teenagers, we're trying to do our part. But like you said, write your congressman, talk to other people who have influence. But I think the fact that we do have a president that is so supportive of pro-life is really a great thing right now. And sure, he has a lot of shortcomings, but I just feel like I'm a huge fan because he has been so vocal about that.
Yeah, regardless of one's party affiliation or opinions of not only President Trump, but all of our elected officials, they are worthy of our prayer support. We need to be praying, I think, a lot more than we are for all of our elected officials. We are living in unprecedented times, and many are saying we're not going to go back to what the normal was even a couple months ago. So there are a lot of important things that our elected officials, our judges, people in positions of power and authority are going to be deciding and determining for us. Let us pray fervently that they will be guided by God, whether they know that they're being guided by God or not. So, Melissa, I think that was a great call. What do you think, Deb?
Oh, I totally agree. And Melissa, you're a Catholic school teacher?
I'm actually a librarian at a Catholic school, so obviously we're not in school right now, and then both of my children are at the same school as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. You mean not a digital library, a real library with books, right? Because I love real books, Melissa.
Me too. I said it was the perfect job for me. I wasn't trained to do it, but I stepped in to do it, and I'm there. I used to be there 3 days a week. Now it's 2 days a week. Now it's 0 days a week, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll get back to it soon. And and I do feel hopeful. I didn't mean for my comments to be maybe a little heavy, like you were saying, Debbie, with getting your blood pressure going up. But I do think we have a lot to hope for, and I do think we just need to keep praying and praying and praying because there's so much power in our prayer. There is, and we can't give up.
I agree. No, it was a good rush in the blood pressure. It was, it's a good reminder, Melissa, that we have to keep talking about this. So I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. We just can't sit quiet any longer. And I agree. We got to ramp up the prayers, but we also got to keep the conversation going and not be afraid. John Paul II, be not afraid. Melissa, way to go. Great call. Thank you so very much.
Indeed. And Melissa will free up that line there at 833-288-3986 for you to join Take Two Family. It's your show. You drive it with your calls, your takes, your lived experiences. Today we're talking about the kind of the state of our nation. Are we a Christian nation still? Are we a mission territory? And as you go out and try to be the best example of Christ you can be in your little sphere of influence, how does that go for you? Are you accepted? Do people want to hear what you have to say? Do you run into obstacles? So you can comment on any of that you would like. Helen has been very patient listening in Arlington, Texas on the EWTN app, and Helen is also a first-time caller. Hi, Helen. We're glad that you've joined us.
Well, hi, Jerry and Debbie. I love the topic today.
Oh, thanks.
And I do agree that I love when our leaders are saying, "In God we trust," or "God bless America." I am praying for the president and so forth, because I do see a decline in Christian beliefs and in Catholic faith. The people, that I talk to, you get the feeling that they've lost the value of going to Sunday Mass or going to confession. Their attitude is like, well, I practice it my own way. I'm religious in my own way. And I was mentioning to the screener that I recently went to a Catholic grammar school reunion, because I went to grammar school and high school, Catholic school, all my life. And so did all these people. They went to the grammar school and high school. So when I went there, I was just so excited to see everyone. And I asked the question, hey, how many of you continued the Catholic school tradition? And they just kind of looked at me like, oh, my kids went to public school. And so I was really surprised and actually disappointed that about 75% of the group did not continue that Catholic school tradition. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I always look at, like in my family, my kids went Catholic grammar school, high school, and I consider it I'm passing on a gift. It's the Catholic faith. It's the, giving them the tools and, the whole belief. And I think it's a shame, because I think it's a gift we give to our children. And, and I've been listening to your program probably for about 7 months, and it's just brought back all the things that I've learned and I had forgotten. So now when I go to church with my kids, I will also tell them that, now don't forget, we're receiving blessings and the grace of God, when we receive communion, when we go to church. So, that's what I do. But I was very disappointed that a lot of people are just taking, I think it's the easy way out, or they just don't want to fight the battle.
Right. Right. That's, it's sad to hear, but it's a reality, Helen. But, here's the thing, going back to kind of, continuing on with Melissa's call, here's what I see as the problem when I'm looking at it from my view. When we don't affirm people where they're at in their spiritual life, and we call them Jesus freaks, or, oh, you're crazy, you're off the wall, you're not up with the times, you're so behind the culture, what's wrong with you? Nobody's going to want to be friends with you. When you have that kind of talk over and over again in the world, when you turn on the TV set, when you're listening to things that just come across your desk on Facebook, which is really troubling and problematic. Eventually, you don't want to feel like you're forgotten, or you're a misfit, or you don't belong. You want to fit in. And so what do? You start to compromise your own belief systems, your own convictions, everything. And in order to just say, well, I belong to the bigger group. Well, guess what? That bigger group could be definitely on the wrong path and heading in the wrong direction for all of eternity. You really want to follow that path? I used to tell the kids all the time in high school and the young adults in college, great. You want to go with the herd? You want to go with everybody? You may be going into the darkness for all of eternity. How does that feel? That feels real good, right? And they're like, no, I don't want to go that way. Well, guess what? You're going to have to stand up and realize what is the truth and stick to it. And Helen, I love what you said about how you share with your kids when you go in to Mass, and hopefully we'll all get back there to sacramentally receive. But I've started to say now, instead of saying communion, you know what I say? I say we're receiving the body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ over and over again, because that's the truth. And the more we say it, the more others can hang on to it. What do you think, Helen? See, my blood pressure is still high from earlier, but it's okay. It's a good
high blood pressure.
Right. What do you think, Helen?
And when I go to work too, I find I'm kind of the only Christian, the only Catholic, but it is an opportunity to throw in a few good, like I'll say, we'll have these conversations like, so you don't believe in Jesus, or what's your question? And they're like, oh yeah, well, I don't know, did he really even exist? Is there heaven? I think a lot of people don't even believe in heaven and hell. And so they're not concerned that, oh, if I do something bad, no problem. So it's an opportunity. I'll try to say, no, the the church was founded. You can go back 2,000 years ago. Jesus Christ walked, on earth, and then certainly, he preached to the people. So some people don't even know that is a reality. They are just so confused about the whole concept. And so I try to, talk to, there's some Hindu individuals, and they believe in several gods. And so when you have these conversations, I hope that maybe I'm opening their mind to look at the bigger picture, and, but it's difficult. Sometimes they just look at you like, what are you talking about?
Well, Helen, sometimes that's all we can do is just state what we believe and just trust that is a seed that's being planted. And as you mentioned, 75% of your grammar school alumni, you found basically do not believe in, don't practice the faith anymore. And I think that mirrors pretty closely. I think it's about 2/3 of Catholics who are polled say they don't believe in the real presence, the body and blood, soul and divinity of Christ in the Eucharist. And let's be honest, the gift of faith is free, but it costs us everything. And in Matthew chapter 7, Jesus even says, in verse 13 and 14, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. And just in closing, I'm reminded of a beautiful, beautiful quote from a Protestant missionary martyr, Jim Elliot. Debbie, you'll remember this. Helen, you may have heard it too. He says, he is no fool who gives up what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. And that's the way we have to approach, our approach to the faith, and realize if we give up everything, we gain everything, but not without making that sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for all you do. It's a wonderful thing to have Catholic radio, and I tell everyone to listen to your show, and it's an awesome thing that you do.
Oh, Helen, thank you so much. We're sending you virtual hugs right now, okay? I hope you can feel them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you so very much for your call today.
Yeah, we didn't pay Helen to say that she is so grateful for Catholic radio, but I wanted to mention at this point in the program that if you want to start a Catholic radio station in your area, it may sound daunting to you, but it is solid, it is dependable radio, especially in the times that we are living in. God may be calling you to a mission in this field of Catholic radio, and you can find out how to start a Catholic radio station where you live, powered by the truth of the Church and EWTN's dynamic radio programming. Just contact Jack Williams, EWTN's General Manager of Radio, 205-795-5756, or jwilliams@EWTN.com.
And I think this is a good time to always remember and to remind ourselves on a daily basis that, to be in the world, but not of the world. We have to, because of our lives here on earth, okay, we have to function here. We understand that. But let's not be of this, let's keep our minds fixed on that bigger eternal view of things. I think it's very important. And Jerry, our friend Glenn weighed in, and he said a very interesting, Jerry, you'll want to think about this. He said now that kids are home right now doing their classwork at home, he says now that parents have the ability to put God in the classroom at home, will they insist on God being in the classroom when the kids go back to school?
Beautiful, Glenn.
Isn't that interesting?
Very
Thank
insightful.
you, Glenn. Very insightful.
Okay, we are going to get to Jean in Cleveland listening on The Rock. Jean, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. You are on the air. Hello, Jean.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. Thank you so much. The one thing that impressed me on Easter Sunday was the concert that NBC, and I don't consider NBC and its offshoots to be Christian at all. I try not to even listen to the news when I'm there, but the Andrea Bocelli concert in a church in Italy. And Andrea Bocelli, I've heard several of his recordings. A friend of mine just loves them. And even his secular music is like, I would say, 5 levels above some of the popular music that I've heard in this country that's been out the last few years. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
But his music is Italian popular music is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful quality. sings it well. The person that he sings with, he has some duets with this lady. I forget who she is, but very just musically, just very wonderful. Besides that really nice concert that he gave on Easter Sunday in a church, and
Well, we completely agree with you. Andrea Bocelli, absolutely amazing artist. His voice, and he puts his heart and soul into it. You can just when you are in. I had the experience of seeing him in concert, and I will tell you, oh my goodness, absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. It just moves you to that deeper level, and to have it on a station, on a station that doesn't really promote Christian values at all. It's a great thing, But here's what I was going to just say. Andrea Bocelli is an icon. I mean, he's a legend, and so he's able to command, I think the networks, and to be able to showcase his ability. And I say more power to him if he could keep on the radio airwaves and also on TV and on social media, because I saw him. He's all over Facebook right now, Jerry. It's real big. So it's great. I
didn't see the Easter performance, but I do watch YouTube videos of him occasionally. I just love his duet. I think is Celine Dion, The Prayer. He does a song called The Prayer with Celine Dion, if I recall that correctly. Just absolutely beautiful. What a great talent, using those talents for the glory of God. And in spite of his limitations as a blind man, he is still just really praising God with the talents that God has given him.
Mm-hmm. So, Jean, anything else? That was beautiful. Thank you for contributing today.
Oh, well, thank you. I will say, too, that in terms of some issues, some of the people closest to me that I discuss with, they'll say, like, well, I wouldn't have an abortion myself, but you cannot deny the right of abortion to anybody. You can't tell them what to do, kind of thing. And, I find that very disturbing, and in fact, I've even heard the remark, well, yeah, but, that I don't want to have a woman be forced to have a baby enter this world, and especially during the time of this virus. And it's like, what?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, but the thing is, we tell people what to do all the time for their good, all the time. I mean, we teach people how to drive. We teach people how to behave in public. I mean, so we do that, right? We do that all the time. But for some reason, stop at red lights. Yeah. But for some reason, abortion is a real problem for people to hear. Because why? Because I think it hits too deeply. They have to really go deep and think about it and what it means. Jean, what do you think, real quick? Yeah. We're going to hear the music in 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. And I probably could have at some point bought out, got out the fact, well, wait a minute, you follow other laws like we're stopping on red lights. Do we have a choice in? Well, I mean, if you want to, you can really go on a red light. The only problem is that you'll crash into the car in front of you, and then you'll be blamed for it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, it's real simple. It boils. Thank you, Jean, for the call from the Rock. We appreciate that. It boils down to, what is 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 is 4. It cannot be anything else. That is a reality that imposes itself on me. I can't say that it's something different. It's outside of me. Therefore, in the moral realm, there have to be absolutes that also impose themselves upon me. It's really quite simple, but in a world of so much confusion, it gets clouded over a lot of times. So,
yep. Well said, Jerry. Thank you, everyone who contributed. Keep the conversation going. You can always email us at take2@EWTN.com. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about your purpose in life. Maybe sometimes you don't feel like such a good person, and you're wondering, what does God have? What plan does He have for me that only I can fulfill? That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.
You've heard of the incredible shrinking man? This is Dr. Ray Gurendi. I am the incredible manly shrink. The doctor is in next.
Archbishop Georg Gansvan is prefect of the Papal